Welcome, everybody, to episode 77 of Two Goalies, One Mic. I am Duane, your host. I will be joined shortly here by my co-host, Gianni Cullen. He's right now currently on the ice, helping the future goaltenders of North America. Has a lot of fun with that. You should check it out. Big game goaltending whenever you have a chance. If you have any goalies that are looking, to further their game along, Johnny does a phenomenal job. Also, any shooters, he's always looking for shooters, help out, volunteer. So always check that out. And remember that this episode of Two Goalies, One Mic is brought to you by Outlet Liquor on George German Boulevard, the very place to buy a case. Whenever I go out for, game day for a Bills game night, or a matinee for the Sabres, I am always going to Outlet Liquor. They have so many options there. Be sure to get there. They treat you like your family. I know from experience. The Trainwreck family knows from experience. They are absolutely unbelievable there. But without further ado, around 9 p.m., that'll be in 9 minutes, we will have on none other than from NHL Network, EJ Hradek. Excited to have him on. It's the second time he'll be on with us. Guy is an absolute beauty. He's always fun to talk to. I've been trying to get him on here for a little bit now, but schedules always conflict when you're as big as EJ is. Sometimes it's difficult to align things, especially with Cully, sometimes with his schedule with, coaching. So with that being said, until then, I didn't get a chance to do it. I'll hang up and listen after the Sabres loss, to the Toronto Maple Leafs, which was an absolute heartbreaker for us, obviously. I believe the final was 5-4. I think it was, I want to say maybe it was Morgan Riley who had the game winner. I think it was like 11 seconds left. Again, an absolute heartbreaker. But you got to remember it was, you had Aaron Dell making his Sabres regular season debut. And again, very tough to watch. Some very questionable goaltending on both sides, I'd say. But I would have to think that even if we had Dustin Tokarski in there, we're looking at a win for the Buffalo Sabres. Nothing against Aaron Dell. Some bounces just didn't go his way. But I think that right there is just a prime example of one of the things that are going to hold this team back this season. As good as Craig Anderson has been, as good as, Dustin Tokarski's been when he has played, unfortunately, it just didn't bounce. I just don't know if that's going to be sustainable over an 82-game season. You saw how great Tokarski played against Edmonton, but I think that was honestly one of the better 60-minute team efforts we've seen all season. Dylan Cousins lined up, matched up with Connor McDavid's line, and even though Leon Draisaitl had 2 goals, absolutely impressively shut down Connor McDavid. How often can you say that? I hope it's a feather in his hat, and I hope he takes a lot of pride in that, because not many guys who match up, with him every time he's out there can say they held that guy to 1 point, which was an assist. And I think it might have been even a power play point. Definitely a lot to be proud of. Jacob Bryson, again, late in the game, McDavid was, carrying the puck in. And one thing I always say with players, I say this a lot with Ovechkin, is I don't understand why people give these guys so much separation and time. If you control your gaps and, just put part of your body on them, you can knock these guys off the puck. Maybe not so much Ovechkin, because the guy's built like a bull. But, get your body on these guys and you can definitely disrupt them, knock them off the puck. That's exactly what Jacob Bryson did. And I remember last couple of weeks watching Duane get walked a few times. It was legitimately the exact same play. Puck carrier coming on a one-on-one, and Duane just keeps that separation instead of just putting on the brakes, stepping up, controlling his gap, and just getting a piece of him. That's exactly what Jacob Bryson did. Honestly, I've never been more impressed with the kid than again in that game against Edmonton. I think he turned a lot of fans' heads too. For me especially, just that one play alone, just being able to stop, honestly, the best player in the world. I don't even think you can even argue that. He's the best player in the world. I think by the time his career is over with, he might be one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time. And I know people, especially up in Canada, will be like, no way, Gretzky's the greatest of all time. And I'm not going to dispute that. But, if McDavid played in the same era as Gretzky, I think he would go shot for shot with him without a doubt, 100%. I don't even think I'm out of line with for saying that. I'm a huge fan of his game. Jacob Bryson absolutely impressed me, impressed a lot of Sabres fans. And I can't stress it enough. I'm so encouraged to see what's to come with him. You know what I mean? It's going to be a lot of fun. So with that being said, I'm expecting obviously Johnny Cullen here any moment with us. Sorry for the hold up, guys. And again, EJ Hradek will be on with us in about 5 minutes. So stay tuned for that. We're going to have a lot on tap. As I previewed in the tweets earlier, we're going to talk about obviously Don Granato's Sabres, what has changed since last year. We're just a little over a week removed from the Jack Eichel trade. Just his feelings on that, and what to expect with him over in Vegas. I would think that it's going to be a powerhouse. For me, in my opinion, I think that team is just so well constructed. I think it's cup or bust. Am I right or am I wrong? Like, that team is just going to be so good. You think of a first line like Eichel, Pacioretty, and Stone. Like, who's going to stop that? That matches up with the best lines in the league. I think, when you think of that, you think Bergeron, Pasta, and Marchand. Like, absolutely. Like, that's probably going to be the most dangerous line in hockey. And it's, I'm starting to get those post Ryan O'Reilly trade vibes, where we're all losing our minds after he won the cup. We could be looking at that again with Jack in Vegas. I hate to say it. I really do believe that. I think we're going to be having a stroke, seeing him possibly lift the cup, maybe 6-7 months from now, whenever that is. So I'm not looking forward to that. We're obviously going to talk some Seattle expansion. Very, very excited to talk that, because the last time we did speak with EJ, that was one of the things that he brought up. He was excited to talk with us about was, the newest team in the NHL, the Seattle Kraken. See how the Crackhead Nation has liked their team so far, and I'm excited to talk about that. I'm excited to talk about Alexander Ovechkin chasing Gretzky's record. The guy is probably off to the best start of his career at 36 years old, which is absolutely bananas. That guy is off to the start he's at, and then as well as he started off, to believe that he's not even leading the league in goals right now with how the pace he's scoring at is Leon Draisaitl, who scored 2 against Buffalo to get to 14, I believe it was. I don't know if Ovechkin has scored since the other night, but he was at 12. So again, that's a chase. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. The guy's on pace for like 70, 75 goals. Obviously, I don't know if that's going to be sustainable, but anything's possible with Alexander Ovechkin, without a doubt. So just obviously let us know what you think in the comments. We got a few comments here, from Iron Noof, very tough loss. Don Keith, the loss did break my heart, but they played their hearts out. They did play their hearts out, and I think that in Buffalo, that's what we want right now. We just want enjoyable hockey. And what's really crushing me, I've been to a couple games so far, is I really, really, really want to see fans start to fill in the seats there. I mean, I'm asking for sellouts. Obviously, there are a lot of fans that are still jaded, partially myself included, but you have to appreciate the style of hockey these guys are playing. They go out there, they're prepared from puck drop, start to finish. They give you a full 60-minute effort, and it's just a lot of fun to watch. I can't, again, it's a brand of hockey we just have not seen in Buffalo in a very, very long time. It's just, how do you even, I don't even, like, when this season started, I wasn't even sure precisely like how to react, because it's like, is this going to be sustainable? Like when they were winning, like obviously none of us really thought it was, and they kind of came down to earth on that West Coast trip, going 0-4-1. But even in the losses, they're out there, they're working their asses off. They're leaving it all out on the ice. And I've said it a couple times, I think you're going to see a lot of loser points out of this team. You're going to see a lot of games get to overtime, see a lot of games get to shootouts. And I think when you do lose, a lot of, outside of maybe what you saw against the Maple Leafs, the lack of goaltending, is just the lack of the elite talent on this team. And that's not to sit there and that's not a negative, projection of the players on this team. It really isn't. But you just don't replace a Jack Eichel. You just don't. You don't just replace a Sam Reinhart. You just don't. The one game that stuck out the most to me was the Boston game early on the season. Pasternak made a couple key individual plays and really came on and really helped get Boston past us in that game. And I just, for me, that was just a glaring example of when you have an individual or individuals on a team who are just so talented that can really put the team on their backs in a moment or go out there and make it an elite hockey play and come in and, take over a game. So with that being said, joining us right now is none other than the man, the myth, the legend, EJ Hradek. EJ, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm still waiting on my co-host. He was on the ice actually until 8:50, working with the Young Goaltenders of America.
That's good. We like that. I like hearing that.
Yep. And last time we talked to you, obviously a lot has changed with the Buffalo Sabres since then, right?
Yep.
A lot of new faces and a lot of old faces no longer with us. Obviously the most glaring would be Jack Eichel, who was traded a little bit over a week ago. And just to get right into the thick of it, EJ, where were you when that news broke, and what was your initial reaction to the return for Buffalo? Because for me, it was like 60 cents on the dollar.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I'm kind of a night owl, and I'm up late a lot of times. And I had been in touch with Pat Brisson, who is the agent for Jack, and we were I was trying to reach him during the day, and him being in the West Pacific time zone, I'm back here in the East. He sent me a note of kind of apology at like midnight Pacific time, at like 3 a.m. my time in New Jersey, and probably not figuring, hey, he's not going to be up, but at least I could send a note, hey, we'll talk tomorrow or whatever. Yeah. And so I didn't want to seem like I was too much of a crazy person that I would be up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I did not respond to that note, and I just wonder if I had, maybe we could have had a give and take, and the deal was already done at that point. So when you asked me when I actually found out, it was the next morning when I did get up and I did see that the news that the deal had been finalized. But I should have known something was fishy when I got a text at that time of night. That's happened to me in my career before with different people, and I should have known that something was up. But I think for the Sabres, when you consider what they were doing, they were trading someone that is not healthy at this moment, that had to have a surgery that they were not willing to go along with, and they had not played, and we have to see how this is going to play out. I mean, it's a distressed asset, as they say, and when you have a distressed asset, when you're going to move that person or that asset, whatever it is, you're not going to get to what's your point of the 100% on the dollar. You're going to get what you can get, and I think from the Sabres standpoint, what they get is they get to say someone takes the entire contract, so they don't have to eat any money. They get to move on. They get two players that should be able to be part of their franchise for a long time. Alex Tuch is from the Western New York area.
I'm excited for Alex Tuch.
He wants to be there. He's shown flashes of real brilliance in his career. We'll see if he can do that, on a night-to-night basis and really be much more consistent. But he's really high-end talent, big, strong, fast, skilled. And so he's going to play in this league for, another 10 years. And the same thing with the young player that they end up getting in the deal. I mean, they sent him to Rochester, and they're going to hope that, they like him. And he was a high draft pick, and they think it's somebody that can come in and play for them down the road. So they get two players, and then they get the couple of draft picks. And draft picks are always kind of a dicey situation. If the Golden Knights get their act together and finish higher in the standings, the first round pick won't be as appealing. But still, there are picks to work with for a team that is basically doing a reset. And we'll just have to watch and see how it plays out. It'll be up to Kevin Adams and his staff to kind of build with these young players that they have. They've kind of cast out that group of Ristolainen and Eichel and that lot of players, and now they're going back to the start. We'll see if they can make it work. I would imagine in Buffalo they're probably tired of hearing it, but I don't think you have any other choice right now. You've got to live in the present, and the present is that they've got some good young players within their group right now that have upside. They have good players in their system. Owen Powers at the University of Michigan will probably be there next year, and you could end up with more good players to come with draft picks and prospects. So that's where it's at for the Buffalo Sabres right now, and it wasn't ideal. Not something you want to do to trade someone like Jack Eichel, but you got to live in the real world, and this is where they're at.
You're right on there, EJ. Outside of your thoughts on that whole situation, obviously the wording of the CBA that gives the team obviously final say on it, I have to imagine that that's going to be something that's going to change once negotiations start up again for the next CBA, because I think what this did, especially, having a guy like Robin Lehner, who is very outspoken about it, who's been very outspoken about, things the way they went here in Buffalo in the past as well. You have to imagine that's going to change, because especially with the league as a whole, the Players Association as a whole, seeing like how this dragged out. And I just don't want it to get lost in the whole scope of this, is the fact that a young man I think he's only 25 now, was forced to kind of sit at home in pain while this all happened. And in reality, he wasn't bluffing. He's thinking long-term, his life after hockey. And I think it was really that one podcast, I think that Elliot Friedman did with the doctor who eventually did the procedure, Dr. Prusmack. He kind of laid it all out there and said, they're both good procedures, the ADR and the fusion, but this has the benefits of not needing any more procedures down the line, which actually my stepmother, who actually had a fusion in her neck too, she's had more than one procedure. So I know firsthand that there is more of a probability with the fusion to have another procedure done.
Yeah, I mean, we've done, obviously we've all done some kind of research on it. If you're in the hockey business, on our show NHL Now, we had Dr. Patel from the University of Michigan, who has done that surgery many times, kind of laid out both sides. It wasn't, for me when I heard it, I would say this, neither surgery was that appealing to me. No surgery is really appealing to me.
No, not either.
Yeah, and so, but at the end of the day, when you lay it out, especially for a young, healthy guy like Jack, I think that I could certainly understand the decision he made, and he's had the surgery now. He seems to be recovering well at this point, so hopefully things are going to go well for him and go through the rehabilitation process and regaining his strength, and hopefully I'll have a chance to play in 3.5 more months down the road. So we'll see. But it was, it was unfortunate that it played out the way it did. And down the road, I guess the Players Association and the league will have to discuss if they want to continue to have the CBA operate in the same way that it did. I'm sure that, teams that pay a lot of money for these players, they want to be able to protect their feelings about the asset as well. And on the flip side, certainly an individual should have the ability to choose what kind of surgical procedure he is going to have moving forward. So there was a lot to chew on there. But in the end, Jack has moved on. He's gotten the surgery, and now we wait and see. And as for the Sabres, they can move on as well. And, for the fans up there in Western New York, they've got to hope that, the young players they have are, it's been a pretty good start so far. They've been playing hard. I don't expect it to be a playoff year by any means, but I think for them, a success this year is how the young players continue to improve and how competitive they are on a night-to-night basis. And so far, they've been a very competitive group.
Yeah, and I think big part of that too, the competitiveness. I mean, I'm not sure how much you've how far back you're willing to remember, but the first, actually both times he was coached here, a Don Granato coached hockey team with the talent level he has. And again, I said this before we brought you on. This is nothing against the players that we have on this team, but I think that you just don't replace a Jack Eichel. I mean, you just don't replace a Sam Reinhart. But their ability to work hard from puck drop, we didn't see that with a Ralph Kruger coached hockey team. They weren't ready a lot of times from puck drop. Under Don Granato, it's literally a night and day difference. And I said, I think they're going to grind out, even if they're not winning. I think they're going to a team that's going to grind out a lot of loser points this season. They're going to get games to overtime. They're going to get games to shootout. They might not win, but they're going to be entertaining. You're not going to outwork them very often. I just, it makes me think back of those old Ted Nolan coach teams, especially back in the late 90s, the hardest working team in hockey, we used to call them. When I was a fan with my dad, the season tickets, we used to show up to the games with hard hats on our heads that the team used to give us. And it was a blast. Granted, we had the best goalie in the world in that at the time. And that made things a lot easier for the guys out on the ice. But that I kind of get reminiscence of those days, just the work ethic, which is all we want as fans. That's all we've wanted for a long time. A team that works hard.
Yeah, I would agree. I think fans in most places, they obviously want to win and they want to have great teams and win championships. But I think at the end of the night, there's only one team that wins in any league. And I think that the fans that pay their money to come into the building, they expect the players to work really hard from the time the puck is dropped to the very end of the game. And I think so far the Sabres have tried to do that. I know, Kyle Oposo sent out that letter early in the season. Kyle has played pretty well in the games I've seen so far. And that's going to be the calling card for the Buffalo Sabres, moving forward. And as they add good young players, hopefully they can incorporate skill and ability with the idea that, this is going to be a hardworking team. That's going to be the culture. And, in Buffalo for the last 10 years, it's been unfortunate. I think the owners, Terry and Kim Pegula, have had best intentions. They've spent a lot of money. It hasn't worked out. I think some of the hires have been really questionable to me. But, again, you can't live in the past. You have to live in the present. And they're hoping that Kevin Adams and Don Granato and the group they have there now can really push this group forward. And, time will tell. But like I say, I think the ownership group certainly has the financial wherewithal to make it happen. They've already shown that for 10 years. Unfortunately, it hasn't translated to success.
Oh, we can't hear you, EJ.
I had a call. You got me back? There you go. I had a call coming in. I had to delete that too. So anyway, that's it. We'll see how it plays out. But I mean, again, I think that the financial resources are still there, and hopefully they'll get things moving in the right direction.
I hope so. Obviously, with the way the football team has played last season and this season, you kind of hope you kind of get. I'm not sure how much you follow the Bills, but we get a lot of comparisons with Don Granato, Sean McDermott here in Buffalo so far, and I hope things go. And now, not to mention, now they have a team dog, so maybe that'll help increase burnout a little bit.
Can't hurt. Can't hurt.
No. Dogs are sometimes, in my opinion, dogs are better than people. So I don't think it's even debatable. No matter what, they're always happy to see you. But touching on the other team in that trade, Vegas. When they do add Eichel, that lineup is going to be scary. AJ, like the potential of Pacioretty, Eichel, and Stone on a line together. That probably, in my opinion, that makes me think that they might, match up to be one of the best lines in the league, kind of like, the way Bergeron, Marchand, and Pasternak has been for a couple of seasons now.
Yeah, I mean, for the Vegas Golden Knights, I mean, they're a team that's been all in from day one of their franchise, right? And that's with who they are. They had the great first year, and they weren't ready to rest on those laurels. They've moved popular players out of there, Marc-Andre Fleury, Nate Schmidt, and others, and they've brought in, the likes of Stone and Pacioretty and Pietrangelo and Leonard, and now they have brought in Jack Eichel, and they can only hope that Eichel's surgery is very successful and the recovery is good, and he can come back and be the Jack Eichel that we all know. And if that's the case, well, that's a hole they had there. Their team was it's pretty good on defense. Robin Leonard is a very capable goaltender. They've got some really good wingers, but they had a gaping hole down the middle of their lineup. By adding Jack Eichel there as your number one center now, you can slide William Karlsson into that 2 hole where he's a good fit. You can have Chandler Stevenson maybe as a 3, Nick Waugh as a 4. I mean, all of a sudden now your depth through the middle of your lineup is way better. There will be some cap challenges there when they get everybody healthy. Someone like Riley Smith, for example, he may have to be moved out. We'll see what the Vegas Golden Knights do and what the timing of Jack Eichel's return is. But certainly the big hole within that group was at center. It is impossible, really impossible, to get number one centers without drafting them. Almost impossible. And usually when it does happen, it's in a case where there has been some kind of circumstance around it, some kind of problem like we saw in Buffalo, and that's why he was available. So the Vegas Golden Knights are again all in, and it's high risk, high reward, but certainly he was a guy that fits exactly what they need. So if he can come back and be healthy, I think they got a chance to be a really tough team to deal with.
Like you said, man, they're all in, pun intended for Vegas. They took a gamble, and I think it's going to work out for them. And, it's so scary as a Sabres fan because we've seen this song and dance before with Ryan O'Reilly when we traded Ryan O'Reilly, lifting the cup the following year. And I think it's cup or bust for Vegas. I think that's why they make this move. They know that they feel their time is now. They're up against the cap. And, you don't make this move for any other reason but that. And it's a scary thing for the teams in the West, teams like Colorado, and they're looking to contend this year. Now they have a team like Vegas that just added a centerman, like Jack Eichel, to an already such a dangerous lineup. And just in time, hopefully, I'm a Sabres fan, and I hated seeing Jack leave, but I'm also a big Team USA fan, and I really want it. Hopefully, I know it's a long shot, but see him come back for the Olympics, because that turns Team USA, having that type of depth down the middle. They're the first time they've had that kind of depth down the middle in I don't know how long, for any Olympic or World Championship event.
Yeah, well, they've had some good teams in the past and some good centers, on their teams in the past. I think guys like Ronick and Madonna through the middle. But you're right. I mean, if Eichel can come back and be healthy with Matthews and some of the others they have there, I mean, that would be certainly a big help for them. I guess for Jack, I mean, we had him on our show a couple weeks ago or maybe last week and prior to the surgery, and, he would love to do it if it works out. If he's healthy enough to go, maybe you can have him as your 13th forward and kind of see where he's at as the tournament goes on. It's a short tournament, and but time will tell. And I think for Jack, the most important thing is to listen to the doctors and to do what's right for him and his development and his recovery, so to speak, moving forward. So the Olympics would be a nice thing for him, but at the end of the day, I believe he's going to do what the doctors tell him, and
what's best for him.
Put his best interests and his health in front of anything else, and hopefully he'll be back playing hockey at some point soon, whether it is at the Olympics or maybe after that in Vegas.
I agree. I know that guy takes a ton of pride in putting that jersey on. He played for Granato back, I think, with the NTDP. I believe he played under Granato in some fashion, I believe. I know Donnie mentioned before he's coached Jack in the past. But it's, I know he takes a ton of pride in wearing that jersey. And again, I'm not a bitter Sabres fan. I want to see Team USA win. And if that means, if Jack Eichel's leading the way while doing it, or, even Austin Matthews, I hate the Leafs, but if Austin Matthews helps lead the way, I'm old school, hate the Leafs too, EJ. Back in the late 90s, 2000s, when this rivalry was relevant, when they used to come to town, I used to take lotion and rub it as a kid. We used to take lotion and find the Canadian license plates and rub it underneath their car handles. I'm old school.
Well, behave. I don't want to see, and I don't want to hear about any bad reports or any trouble. So behave.
No, it won't be like that. But before we let you go, I wanted to ask you actually two small things. obviously things for Seattle aren't going as well as they did for Vegas. They're last in their division, 4-10 record, but it does seem like that fan base has embraced that team, and hockey is alive and well in Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a great run up there. They've got a beautiful building. They've got some really high-end people running the show there. It was going to be a tough act to follow Vegas. I mean, Vegas made it all the way to the Cup final before losing to the Washington Capitals. And, I think for Ron Francis and that group, it was not going to be as easy, although the rules were the same. A lot of the general managers were familiar with what happened in the situations in Vegas, and they were determined really not to make the same mistakes again. They were not going to trade multiple players to save one player, because as that turned out, as we saw in Vegas, there were teams that were, the players that they got ended up being really helpful guys. In fact, one of them is now in your organization, Alex Tuch. Remember all that went on with Minnesota? They traded away Hall, I believe, and Tuch, and to really hold on to a player that they wanted. I think it was Matt Dumba at the time, and I'm not even exactly sure anymore who it was. But the bottom line was those two players went on to be really helpful players for Vegas. Florida ended up making some deals like that. There were other teams that did the same thing. Columbus did something like that. Those type of deals really helped the Vegas Golden Knights. I think the general managers were kind of a little sharper this time around. Mm-hmm. They weren't in the mind to trade multiple players to protect one. And in the end, I think that was probably the smart way to go. So for the Seattle Kraken, it has been a tough start. I think it will probably be a long season. They don't score a ton, but they're big and strong as a group. They've got competent goaltenders. And so, we'll see if they can get on a little run. But right now, they're in a division right now that is way tougher than we thought it was going to be, because the LA Kings, I think, are 7-0-1 in the last 8 that they're in. Anaheim has won 7 in a row. San Jose has played much better than we thought. Edmonton and Calgary are playing really great hockey right now. I'm not even mentioning Vegas. There's been some really good stories in the Pacific Division this year. So I think the Seattle Kraken probably got their hands full. But I think the fans in Seattle love it. They got a great building. They have something to build upon. And I think that franchise will grow and develop as time goes on and be just fine.
Yeah. And, I don't know what, too, is they have a great their first-round pick is absolutely playing out of his mind right now for the University of Michigan. Obviously, here in Buffalo, we're following that school a lot.
I'm sure you are.
Eric Portillo and Owen Power. Me personally, I think Eric Portillo is the future franchise goaltender of this team. His size alone, his flexibility, he has all the intangibles to be a franchise goaltender. That's nothing against Devin Levi, who we got back in the Sam Reinhart deal, or Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, who's playing very well in Rochester right now. But I look at a kid like Eric, who's just has such calm feet, and how patient he is at tracking the puck. Just ability to move side to side, post to post, and he doesn't make really any mistakes out there. And I think he took a lot from being Strauss's backup last season, who decided to go pro, this year, but over in the Swedish league. But he's just been phenomenal to watch. But Owen too. Owen's been night and day the player he was last year pre the World Championships, and he's been a ton of fun to watch. But Beniers, if I'm a Seattle Kraken fan, if I'm a crackhead, I'm watching Beniers, and I am absolutely losing my mind at what, again, possibly in my opinion, the most, NHL ready player from that draft class. If you were to put him into the NHL right out of the draft, and again, he's played phenomenally up the middle for them, and if I'm a Seattle fan, I'm extremely excited.
Yeah, I remember watched Beniers last year in the run up to the World Juniors and then at the tournament, and he's an impressive young player, and I think he's got a chance to be a really good player for a really long time. So I'm happy that he went back to school and has that time to continue to develop. I like when guys do that. I think it'll really help Owen Power down the road as well. So these are really fun young players to watch, and this is the beauty. I've been able to do this for so many years now. I can remember all these young guys that have come into the league during my career and watched their careers blossom, and they have great careers. And now it's funny, we're talking, it's the night of the Hockey Hall of Fame induction, and I've seen so many of those careers that guys who were drafted that played at the World Juniors and got into the NHL, and now some of them are in the Hockey Hall of Fame. So I guess that's the beauty of experience and the good fortune I've had. But those kids that you're mentioning there, they got a lot of upside, and it'll be great to see when they get to the National Hockey League how things go.
And you know what? With the way things ended last year, with obviously a couple of players on the team getting COVID and their tournament getting cut short, having that brass ring kind of dangled in front of you, that's probably just so much more incentive to come back, knowing that you're going to have just honestly the best team in the nation coming back. There's that core 5 players. I think it was 4 of the first 5 picks taken in the first round. I think they had a 5th player taken at the end of the first. I think it was actually Pat Brisson's son, was it not? I think it was.
Yeah,
Vegas. I think at the end of the first. Yeah. So that's just. I mean, when you have that much coming back and the a really legitimate chance as being the top dog to win a national championship, I don't blame any of those kids for wanting to go back. And it's going to be, like you said, it's going to do longer for their development. My last question to you before we let you go is Alexander Ovechkin. The guy is probably off to his best start of his career, and I'm a big Ovi fan, and I listen to a lot of podcasts and a lot of retired Canadian players from up north. None of them want to see him break Gretzky's record. Me personally, I think it's great for hockey to see this. Reminds me a lot of when McGuire and Sosa were going, swing for swing, chasing a single season home run record. Do you feel the same? Do you think this is good for hockey? Him possibly breaking that record, and do you actually think he might do it?
Well, it's absolutely great for hockey because it'll create a lot of interest. I mean, it was a record that nobody ever thought would be broken. Anybody would get to 894 goals. And, I think he's off to a great start this year. I mean, we know the numbers. I mean, the numbers are the numbers. And if he can continue to play well and play at a high level for the next couple of years, I think he's got a chance to approach it. But there's a lot that can happen between now and then. And he's got to stay healthy and productive. And, we know the old story, right? Father Time, he's undefeated. Right now, Alex is holding off Father Time really, really well. He's doing a great job of it.
36 years old.
I think he's got a great shot at doing it, much more so than I might have said a few years ago. But again, it can change quick. He's got to stay healthy and he's got to stay productive. And, those things are going to be challenging for him. But, boy, people have not made a lot of money betting against Alex Ovechkin in his career. So we'll just have to watch. And I think, again, that's why it's great for hockey, because it'll be a storyline moving forward day after day after day as he climbs up the ladder. I guess Jaromir Jagr is the next one in his sights. He just passed Brett Hull. He's only got Jagr, Gordie Howe, and then Wayne Gretzky. It's a lot of goals, but it's just been an amazing, amazing career for Alex Ovechkin.
It's a shame too, because not a shame, but it's a shame because I think I got asked this question, on Twitter earlier this week. I said, do you think he hits 950 or even 1,000 if not for all the COVID and lockout shortened seasons? And that's a question. There's
no doubt. I mean, there's no doubt when you miss time. I mean, he's had, as you mentioned, he's had the work stoppages that have taken games from him. He's had obviously a COVID circumstance that has taken games from him. But think about Jaromir Jagr at 766. I mean, he's had work stoppages taken away from him. He was out of the league. He went and played in the KHL. Now that's his own decision, really. But he missed like 3 or 4 years. I mean, he might have been someone that could have challenged that mark or been much further up the list. And certainly, you would have think that with that time could have passed Gordie Howe at least. So, this is part and parcel of someone's career. Alex has been very fortunate to be healthy the whole time. And that's the biggest thing. I mean, I'm old enough to remember the great Mike Bossy and what a great goal scorer he was. He ended up having a bad back and it really shortened his career dramatically. He only got to play 9 or 10 seasons, but one of the great goal scorers that I've ever seen. So, Alex has been healthy. Knock on wood for him. He stays healthy. And if he does, I think he's got a great chance to challenge the great one.
I absolutely agree. And I like that you brought up Jagr too, because, I think he might be chasing Jagr. Maybe not first overall, but at least second, for not him going to the KHL and obviously the work stoppage season. So, again, EJ, thank you so much for coming on with us. I know I've been, been kind of a back and forth with you over the past few months, and I'm very grateful for you coming on. Very humbled, and thank you so much, man.
My pleasure. And tell your partner I miss him, and he's doing good work. If he's on the ice with kids and helping them get better, then that's really good. That's a good excuse.
He actually messaged me about 15 minutes ago because he brought all his equipment with him to the rink. Sometimes he does that, and they gave him the wrong Wi-Fi password.
Oh boy,
he's losing his mind. So, but he wanted me to send his apologies for not being here. Because he when I told him we were having you back on, he got real excited because we had a lot of fun with you the first time.
Well, listen, we'll do it again maybe near the end of the season, and he'll be ready to go.
Absolutely. Right? EJ, thank you again for hopping on with me, man. Do well, and let's go Sabres, right?
All right, go get them. Go get them. All right, take care.
You too. That was EJ Hradek, everybody. Obviously, so appreciative him hopping on with us again. Just always a good conversation with EJ. You can check him on NHL Network. One of the most respected minds of hockey. Unfortunately, as I mentioned before, Cully couldn't hop on with us. He's actually at the Northtown Center right now, and he couldn't find Wi-Fi. Unfortunate, it happens. But we moved on, and we were able to get along without him. Obviously, it's a much more fun conversation with Cully's here, but he did want me to send his apologies to everybody that he couldn't make it to the show. So with that being said, guys, obviously Sabres 1-for-1 in the last 2 games against both the Edmonton Oilers and losing in a heartbreaker at the end of the game 5-4 to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Again, I believe they play tomorrow. I'm not familiar with who. Let me bring that up. Just give me one moment. They host. They don't know. They go to Pittsburgh tomorrow night. They face Sidney Crosby. Obviously, we've all seen that video of Sid the Kid getting pretty frustrated with the way things are going in Pittsburgh. And then they go to, I believe they host the Calgary Flames Thursday night. Yeah, so excited for that game. Very hot Calgary team. A team that was allegedly very close to getting an Eichel deal done with Buffalo. Remember that big rumor from Kevin Weeks that came out about Matthew Tkachuk being on the table, which ended up being disproven. But 2 exciting games again, 2 big tests for Buffalo coming up with both Pittsburgh and the Calgary Flames. Like the Calgary Flames off to a very, very hot start. They're third in the Pacific Division, as we mentioned before, a very, very difficult position. Difficult division to be in. Just obviously let us know, what you think in the comments, either, in the thread below or on YouTube. Let us know how you feel about the Sabres team, how you feel about the league as a whole, and how this season has gone so far. I'm excited, to see Ovechkin just continue to be on this tear that he's on, as we mentioned there with EJ before. I'm a huge Ovechkin fan. I think he's my favorite non-Sabre player ever. Just so much fun to watch. That when the guy scores, it's like he's literally scoring his first goal ever every single time. You just can't find love for the game like that in anybody. Literally anybody. The guy just loves playing hockey. I could totally see this being a guy that can play till he's like 45. You mean like Tom Brady? He just keeps playing because he loves it. I honestly have no doubt in my mind that he's going to break Gretzky's record as long as he stays healthy. Again, knock on wood. A guy that is more capable. He's the greatest goal scorer that ever lived. For me, there's no doubt about it. It's the guy doing what he's done in his career so far, with how good goaltending is as compared to when Gretzky played, how much better the competition is as compared to when Gretzky played. Again, that's no knock on them, but obviously you back in those days, you didn't have the Europeans and the Russians and the Czechs overplaying right away. You never got to experience, those European and Czech and Russian goaltenders. Gretzky didn't shoot on those guys early in his career, whereas Ovechkin's been playing at him from day one in his career. In some of the best goaltenders that ever lived, including that guy. Well, both these guys, all 3 of these guys back here. He scored on all of them. So with that being, actually, no, he probably never scored on Wah. I think he might have scored Hasek on, in a Hasek second stint around. So. But with that being said, guys, this has been episode 77 of 2 Goalies, 1 Mic. Thanks for hopping in with us. Remember, this is brought to you by Outlet Liquor. the place to buy a case on George Urban Boulevard. Make sure you get over there. Again, one of my favorite places to get my adult beverages for any game night or game day for the Bills. You can't beat their prices and their selection. And make sure you let them know Duane from Two Goalies, One Mic, and Trainwreck Sports sent you there. Give them a high five, a hug, whatever. Socially distance, elbow bump, whatever you feel like. So with that being said, guys, thanks for hopping in. Episode 77. I am Duane for Cully, and we will talk to you next week.